Now, let me go grab my stuff.
The one I feel the most is the war of the mind. Happens when you try to get right.
Morning, Matt. It's hitting hard, man. Boom, boom, boom.
I hear those kickoffs and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what gets me jazzed for the morning show.
Exactly. So yeah, we definitely got contact whoever's local. Seth over at his place. Set up, see if we can get over there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Copperhead Mike. John. Good morning, John. Morning, Copperhead. Boom, 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 boom.
9 o'clock. Here we go.
9 a.m.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What's up, folks? Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Oh, yeah. Here we are back again, guys.
What's up, guys? So, we got some shit yesterday. We didn't talk much about the coffee we were drinking.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. We just kind of got ahead of ourselves and just drank it.
Yeah.
But
So this morning, what do we got?
we had
Uncle
Irish
Carl.
again. That's the Irish in me. I jumped the gun, but we got some Irish coffee that we make now. What did we use to make this?
So I used a blonde blend.
I like blondes.
Yeah, I like blondes and
redheads, brunettes.
but we use a blonde blend.
Yeah.
We do a full shot of Tullamore. We do 3 cubes of sugar, Domino sugar, and then we stir it in a nice hot glass, and then we actually float hand whipped cream.
And we whipped it.
On top.
So you were actually whipping it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's going back to one of those shows.
You whipped it good.
Yeah.
and then float that baby on top.
So
yeah.
This is one of those drinks that I learned how to make when I was on the West Coast, and
Buena Vista
and Buena Vista Irish coffee. They were the place to go to get Irish coffee. You know, located in San Francisco. So, you know,
morning, Tiff.
we got Tiff in the house. So let's go through. In the intro, we got Matt was saying good morning.
Morning, Matt.
Copperhead Mike.
Morning, Copperhead.
We got John.
John and Tiff.
And Tiff.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, so guys, be sure to share the links out with on your pages as well. Remind them to click on the link, and so that they can also interact with us. And we'll get the show started.
I'll tell you what, John. Absolutely. If you send it over to me, either preferably in Messenger or in email, I'll pull it up and we'll talk about it on the show.
Yeah.
So today's show,
a little recap of what we did yesterday, right?
Yeah. Go ahead and do your.
So at the end of yesterday's show, we thought we were having a little bit of a technical issue.
Yeah.
And it turns out, so we ended it a little prematurely. Turns out we didn't have any technical issues.
No,
but we were working on a design. Red alert! And so we were making a happy little possum. It turned out we did for my daughter. She loves possums, and we were setting up the file for plasma. Then we set the file up. We got it over to the machine, and we actually posted a couple little videos yesterday of the process. So we cut it, we cleaned it up, we powder coated, and this right here is the final product. So we got a happy little Taquachi powder coat. What color is this?
that is Troller Boat Purple.
Troller Boat, and it's got like a little metallic flake in it.
Yeah, the light doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, and this thing is just beautiful, and yeah, she's gonna love this, and like so from design to get in the oven and get it all done, the entire process. If you were to do this, less than an hour?
Oh yeah, less than 30 minutes.
Less than 30 minutes, and yeah, look at this guy. This is just beautiful. So here, I'm gonna come over here in the middle here.
Yeah.
And I love this. This is my first metal sign. So we did that. So I got a chance to run the machine, run the plasma a little bit. After it was cut out, I cleaned it. Chris let me go in there and spray the powder coating on a couple of parts, and then he loaded them in the oven, and that's what we got. So then after that, we had our Thanksgiving dinner. Yep. With the family, with your lovely wife and daughter and your mother-in-law.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was delicious, very delicious. And then after that, we were working on another sign that we had cut out as well, and we were doing a rustic finish on it. So explain what it is, like a rustic finish that you were doing.
So I'm going to give you guys
wow.
John, you can't keep messaging during the show, man. It's one thing to send it through Facebook. You sending it to my phone and it's going off.
Red alerts.
But anyways, we're doing a caustic acid wash.
Okay.
On steel. So
now, for those of you that aren't aware now, when you look at a piece of steel, you look at it, it looks like it's solid, right? But if you were to look at steel under a microscope, you would actually see that it has pores.
Yeah, under a microscope, steel actually looks like strands of spaghetti.
Yeah, because
intertwined.
And because what it is during the forging and the process, it's being compressed down, it's being rolled out into sheet metal, and again, it's layers upon, it's building on layers on layers on layers.
Okay.
So, what does that caustic bath do to it?
So basically, what it does is it acid washes the metal, and it doesn't react with the carbon in the steel.
Yeah, well, yeah, because carbon, again, for those of you that carbon is one of the hardest materials on the planet. Right. So that is not the material that actually rusts. When you put something outside, it rusts. Right. It's the iron in the it's the iron.
Right. That's what actually rusts in steel is the iron content. So when you apply a caustic acid,
Mhm.
it creates a chemical reaction. It basically the byproduct of that chemical reaction is a coloration,
Mhm.
which is known as rust.
And that's where we get the color, the oranges, the red, the browns,
Right.
in that. And so now we could take this piece of metal and throw it out in the woods for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then come back and get the same and get the same look.
Right.
So what you were doing is doing a man-made, speeding up the process. Now we don't want to get it to where it's flaking off. We just want to bring that color to the surface,
Right.
to make it look like it's weathered.
Right.
Right. Okay.
And so whenever we do that, one of the things we do is we use this caustic acid.
Mm-hmm.
And caustic acid, that's bad stuff.
Yeah.
It's like detrimental to you and everything, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's caustic acid.
It's caustic. Yeah. It's caustic means burn. It burns.
What,
yeah. Right.
What is caustic acid? Where do you get it at?
I don't know. Where do you get your caustic acid from?
I get my caustic acid by the gallons. I buy it by the gallons.
Holy crap, Ola.
Yeah.
Isn't this country great that you can just get these
buy caustic acid?
Yeah, these chemicals by the gallon.
Right.
Okay.
Where do you get your caustic acid at?
I'll probably be getting it in the future by the gallon.
By the gallon? Where at?
Probably Costco.
Costco?
Yeah, Costco. By the gallon. Yeah.
We're gonna get caustic acid.
You can get everything at Costco.
Yeah, you go to Costco and get caustic acid.
All right, that's what we're gonna do. And now you have your own proprietary formula that you use.
Yep.
And now
let's back up. What do you say? You want to give the people? You want to give it to the people?
It's up to you. This is a trade secret. Means and methods, trade secrets.
I mean, I gave it to you. It's out there.
It's out there?
It's out there.
All right.
So we want to give it to the people?
Let's give it to the people. Let's give it to only this is going to be an exclusive for our viewers only.
Okay.
So what we're talking about for caustic acid from Costco by the gallon. Drum roll. White vinegar.
Distilled white vinegar.
Distilled white vinegar.
That is the activator.
Mm-hmm.
What distilled white vinegar does is it eats through the mill scale of the hot roll.
Now, explain what mill scale is on top of that. So, when it's being, because now you're talking about if you've never been to a steel mill, basically what they're doing is that they're melting metal, they're pouring it out in large ingots, very similar to to bars. And then they heat it up and they run it through rollers. And basically what they'll do, they could actually take this and heat it up and spread this out, and to maybe what we could probably get 100 yards of 14 gauge. Yeah. So 100 yards of 16 gauge could probably get like this, depending on how thin it's rolled out. So
how wide.
And that's what they did. Now, as it runs through the mill, they and the rollers, they have a little bit of oil on the rollers to lubricate a little bit, and that creates mill scale.
So what it does is it actually cooks and boils the surface
into the surface,
right?
So
that protects it.
And exactly all those layers. And there go down. Well, it's probably you, John. I think if anybody else says that we go low, and it may come in and out with the internet. So what that's doing is it adds a layer of protection because that oil is being cooked and pressed into those pores. And what we're doing with this process is we want to get rid of that mill scale. There's two ways to do it. We can do it fast by after it's cut, and we can run a little wheel wire brush and help get that off. And that will allow the vinegar to get in there and start to create that reaction, to start that rust reaction faster, or just put the vinegar on it and let it cook. It's time. Yeah. So we did both. We did both. I was able to get the mill scale off one little area, and then we left a little bit on because Chris wanted to show me exactly how it is. So we took that off, and then we sprayed on the vinegar, and then let it start to react.
So we sprayed on the vinegar, and right after we sprayed the first layer of vinegar, what did I do? What was the secret to getting the vinegar to react?
Now, once we drenched that out on there, you're looking for two different things. According to what Chris was telling me, you're looking for a sheeting and a beading area. So what that's doing is that if it's just sheeting, that means it's going across the top of the mill scale and not necessarily penetrating below that mill scale. Once it starts to bead, that means that it's penetrated the mill scale, and now it's starting to pull out the oils from the surface of that.
Right.
So that's what we're looking. We're waiting to break down that first layer of mill scale.
Right.
And then once we break down through that, then we're going to start seeing the color. What I saw was it just turned like the top of the mill scale kind of gray, gave it like this matte look.
Yeah, and you like that look.
I love that matte look, but that's not necessarily the look that you were going for.
Right.
So we left it for a couple of more hours.
Well, what did we do to the first layer? That's what the activation. That's what a lot of people miss.
Okay.
To get that solid activation.
All right, so maybe I'm missing a step.
The torch.
Oh, that's right. We sprayed that on there, and then you hit it with a torch.
I added heat.
You added heat to it. So the acid plus heat, it helped kickstart that reaction.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so we spray the activator
Mm-hmm.
and we heat it. We come back, we spray another layer of activator over it. The activator is nothing more than distilled vinegar, distilled white vinegar.
Mark says your coffee looks like Guinness. You know what? It goes down like Guinness too. You almost need a knife and fork to drink it. Too damn.
But so once the activation starts, we start breaking down the mill scale. That's when we add the actual product. Okay. And my product, it's so difficult.
Yeah. Now this is a 2-stage application. So quote unquote activator, distilled white vinegar in one bottle.
Yep.
Undiluted.
Yep.
Then a second bottle of diluted. Is it diluted?
Well, it's not diluted, but it's a mixture.
It's a mixture of distilled vinegar.
Yep.
And hydrogen peroxide. Correct.
Yep. Okay. And one key element.
Oh, what am I missing? Yeah.
What's in saline water?
Saline water. Salt. Salt.
A
little bit of salt. Yeah.
Iodine salt.
So
table salt.
So for folks that live in the north and that live close to the ocean, you guys are very much aware of during the wintertime what the salt water coming off the oceans will do to your cars. And for those of us that live in the north that are familiar with the salt mixes, we know that if you look at the bottom of some of these cars, well, what does that do? Just rust.
Yep.
So and again, that's salt. That's now you've got two different caustic elements.
Yep.
The vinegar and the salt.
Yep. The salt and the peroxide work really well to bring out the layers.
That's another thing
the
too.
Layers of color.
Yeah.
That works out so well. I kind of wish we would have brought the part in to show them because it doesn't do it justice.
No. You want me to run out there and get it?
Yeah.
Let me run out there and get it.
Yeah. Right. So what really happens is I'll let the door quit creaking. This doghouse studio, nothing works right, including myself. But what basically happens is it builds layers. It builds colors based on the different reactions, different temps of reactions and stuff like that. And within 30 minutes, you can get coloration, but I usually let mine go overnight. So I'll spray it with activator. I'll heat it. I'll spray it with activator. I'll let it set for 15 minutes. I'll apply my mixture. Everybody has their own little mixture, but I apply mine. I then let it sit, and before I go to bed, I'll spray it down with activator and solution real quick one more time. Come back in the morning, and it's set. It's done. That's what I do. That's my process. Um, and here comes the actual part right now.
Alright. So,
Go ahead and close that door because it's. There we go.
all right, there we go. So, here, guys, this is after treating over the course of several hours. Now, you can see the different textures, the colors, and this really doesn't do it justice.
If you pull it back away, I think maybe. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Get the screen off there, and
Yeah.
you can see all those browns, and
Yeah.
then we'll actually bury that in a matte clear.
Yeah.
And that's what the customer wants. And what that'll do, we'll spray it with acetone. We'll stop the activation of rust, and then we'll encapsulate it in a matte clear powder coat
What's up,
to
Spartacus?
keep it from getting more
You have
oxygen.
a special guest on this morning Coffees and Cuts. Spartacus.
Spartacus,
Pet
the
that dog. Pet that dog. Yeah. So yeah, that was so we did that, and that right there kind of led us into the mid-afternoon time.
Yep.
Then we sat down, had a couple drinks, talked about kind of this and that, and then what did we do? What was the coup de grace last night?
I mean, for you,
Yeah, for me, it was
being
like
a firebug.
oh man, it was like yeah.
Tell him.
So you broke out he broke out his little smelter. What model or smelter are we using?
It's a Devil Forge.
Okay.
FB2M.
Okay. So he had me go out and transport his aluminum cans.
Yep.
And stomp them down flat, and we started burning cans in the Devil Forge.
Yep.
And we started feeding the dragon.
There you go.
And we probably did a full-size Rubbermaid trash can and about 5 or 6 full-size bags of cans.
Yep.
And I cast my first billet of aluminum.
Now, this tells us a lot about how the billet was, or how the ingot was cast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First off, the mold could have been hotter.
Yeah.
And on top of it, the aluminum itself cooled very quickly.
Yeah, it was about the mid 40s, low 40s.
It was actually probably high 30s.
Okay.
I mean, it was cold, it was damp, not super conducive to outside casting. But we could have mitigated some of those circumstances, but we got a dimple here. That means that this metal cooled too quickly
at the top of it, right?
And then on top of it, it crystallized.
Yeah.
See the crystallization in the center there. Does tell us a lot about it. What I could have done was hit that in a torch area, like mount a torch over top of it.
I would keep to maintain a little bit of temperature.
Yep.
And to keep it from doing that.
Yeah, and then I could have stuck the molds in an oven first.
Yeah, because
and
what we were doing was just kind of placing them around the top of the forge where the flame was coming out the top.
Right.
To kind of warm them up. So yeah.
Right. So but yeah, I mean you got to cast it. You got to
that was cool, man. I was like I said, I was feeding the dragon last night. That was cool. And what did we get out of all those cans? We got did we get 9 full billets? I didn't quite catch the last time. I had to go to Zoom with my nieces and nephews.
We got 9 billets.
We got 9 billets.
We got 3 large and 6 smalls.
Nice. So, and then what we're going to do later on today is we're going to probably polish that up a little bit and throw this on the X card with the impact engraver. We're going to engrave the date, and that's going to be my new little paperweight on my desk.
There you go.
Well, keepsake from my trip here to Cross CNC. Yeah.
So
So how did I do yesterday? I had never worked with the plasma. I had never powder coated, and I've never smelted anything.
Well, you didn't smelt, you melted.
Okay, then I melted. So I've never done any of that stuff. Never worked with any of that stuff.
Right.
And I did freak out a little bit when you asked me to try, and I was able to, melt the cans, pull the crucible out of the Devil Forge, but I was a little freaked out trying to pour into the actual molds.
Why?
Oh, guys, this is just because I'm bent over. The tongs themselves, you have to kind of press in, so and it's intimidating. So it was later on in the evening. It was dark. You can see this molten aluminum. It's glowing.
Everything's
the heat
glowing
coming out.
cherry red.
It's cherry red, and I'm like bent over like this, so the heat is hitting me like this.
I'm standing behind him. He's scared,
and I'm like trying to get this, and I could not, and I felt like I couldn't get a good grip on the crucible because the last thing I wanted to do was drop this on the cold, wet grass and crack your crucible.
Yeah, we've already done one of those.
That would be bad. So, and it kind of was a little bit of intimidating. So I was like, nope, ain't doing this. Chris, jump in. You're like, phew. And you were like Johnny on the spot, bam, right there.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
How do you think you did overall? First off, what was your favorite part?
My favorite, my favorite part was pretty much the entire day. I had never done any of this stuff, and so I just wanted to jump in and do it. I felt like I just want to jump in and do it. I felt that I did okay. I felt like I did okay for never having done it before. Yeah,
I will tell you, for me, it's always nerve-wracking to have somebody else take care of the processes on my machines and parts and stuff. Because I know what I want done, I know how I want it done, and nobody does the work like you yourself do, so it's always difficult for me to let go of that setup.
Yeah.
All in all, I think you did very well.
Yeah,
for
a newbie.
Yeah. I mean, overall, you did very well. The only thing that you freaked out about was the grip.
Yeah.
And I would rather have you freak out about that than try to do it, and we end up with molten aluminum all over, burning our feet off.
That would not be good. Yeah. That would not be a souvenir I would want to take back with us here.
No.
So, guys, whenever you're messing with something like that, you always have to be to have a very high level of respect for whatever whatever you're doing and for whatever project that you're approaching, and especially if you've never used this type of equipment before. As us as makers, we're very independent minded.
Mm-hmm.
We want to a lot of times go gung ho, balls to the wall. But it is always a good idea if you've never done a particular process before to have somebody who has some experience and can guide you through and can and give you certain pointers, because even last night when we were melting cans and this and that, because the cans had been exposed to the elements, there's water and everything like that. We were dealing with not only the chemical burn-offs from the cans themselves, but we were actually introducing water into a very, very hot crucible.
Right.
And we would get flash ups of steam mixing in with the burn off, and also when you burn off. When you introduce water to a hot, what's one of the byproducts that comes off as gas?
The hydrogen.
Yeah.
You get a small hydrogen pop.
And yeah, exactly. And hydrogen is one of the most combustible gases on the planet.
Yeah.
So it's something to have a very, very, very high level of respect for anything you do, and do it with a little bit of supervision before you want to go solo.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll agree to that.
Yeah.
You know, some of the cool stuff. I asked Carlos what his favorite was, but one of my favorite things was just doing the stuff with somebody who was eager to learn and I could talk the process through.
Mhm.
You know, because we get very complacent
Yeah.
when we do stuff that we know, because you know, setting up a machine for me is second nature. I do it every day. I go in, I have a system that I go through. You know, what that does for me is just keeps me honest, keeps me moving forward.
Mhm. And
Um,
if you're able to explain it to something and explain in your process and articulate that process, it's a sign that you truly understand the process.
yes,
And you're able, and if you're able to teach that, then you truly understand your process.
right,
Again, as makers, means and methods, that's going to vary from maker to maker. So, but if you understand, but if you're able to articulate your process, then you're able to teach that process, then that is a sign that you truly understand what your process is.
right,
Yeah.
right. And I will absolutely agree.
Yeah.
You know, people say those who can do and those who can't teach. Those who can't educate.
That's a good point.
The people that can
Mm-hmm.
and pass on that knowledge teach.
And that's how we translate our tribal knowledge and pass that along.
Right.
Now and to further document that, then we're able to kind of more standardize it, but at least you're able to pass that tribal knowledge on, and so it doesn't get lost.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of our day in a wrap. I mean, we ate, we got fat,
Yeah.
we worked, we came back, we ate desserts, got fat. We
chilled out on Chris's awesome porch. The guy's got two lazy boys on the deck.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
it was I was in a little slice of heaven. It was nice.
We are lucky where we're situated. So
Yeah.
we're right in Happy Valley. We're about 40 minutes from the Penn State football field. We're situated right at the crotch of the valley. So the Happy Valley actually splits and at the crotch. And we can see the weather coming up the valley,
Yeah,
and tell what kind of storm it's going to be by which side of the valley it goes
the
on.
clouds. So it's coming
Yeah.
in like this, and if it splits off to the right, you know you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
If it splits to the right and then does a button hook to the left, then you know you're in for a little bit of a ride. Huh?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they call the button. Hey, button hooked you. All right.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
So, but yeah, we have our porch is as big as our house.
Yeah.
It literally is the square footage of our porch is the square footage of our house. Three quarters, half the 3/4 is under roof.
Yeah.
With lights and ceiling fans to circulate air. So in the summer, you're nice and cool. We have a curtain assembly that we put up to block the sunlight, so it's not beating down on you.
And I'm a huge fan of like patio areas, deck areas. That I truly am. And man, it's an awesome setup.
It was great to hear you sound so relaxed and enjoying yourself.
Oh, and you too,
yeah.
too. And this is one of the things that we talked about too yesterday was I asked, for those of you that know Chris, you guys know that Chris is a workaholic. He pushes himself, and sometimes he pushes himself when he probably shouldn't. And he and I have had conversations where it's like, dude, you got to pace yourself. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
But Chris is the consummate workaholic. And I asked him, hey man, we got a lot done. And Chris is like, probably got a lot done for normal people, but for me, I was pacing myself.
Yeah.
And I could see that. And I said, but you know what? You needed to pace yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
But we worked, and then we sat down, we discussed what we went over with, and that we got there. And it was one of the most, we didn't stop really moving, and we didn't stop, but it was a relaxing day.
Yeah.
But we got a lot done, and we learned a lot.
Yeah.
And when I finally came in, or after 10 o'clock, I think I was out within 20 minutes. I sat on the
Yeah,
couch. I was like,
it wasn't even 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was like 5 minutes.
yeah, and I was out.
And
Yeah.
he was out. And I just looked over and he was like, sawing logs, man.
Yeah, but it was a great day. Great day. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you so much for that day. Yeah.
Thank you for making the trip out.
Yeah.
You know, that's where we lose a lot in this YouTube social media, Facebook social media gathering is we met on social media, but we actually meet face to face too.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the exciting part.
Yeah, we don't just have friends on social media. We don't have friend time on social media. We actually get out and interact. And as makers, that's something that we really need to do. And I'm hoping, I would love to have some makers reach out and be like, hey, do you want to collaborate on this, and this? You know, because then you're actually experiencing the people, and you can say, hey,
and you're building a true community.
Right.
Yeah. And those are relationships that you build on, and you can build on them and for the long term.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, guys, if Chris is a wealth of knowledge. He's been there, he's done that, he's been around the block once or twice, as we say in Chicago. And reach out. For if you have a project that you're kind of stumped on, you're not really sure what direction to go, reach out to your fellow makers.
Yep.
And see what they can offer. It doesn't have to be all secrets and stuff like that. Now, I understand there are proprietary trade secrets that you want to have for if you have a small business, and that's totally understandable. But there's something to be said about collaborating with your fellow makers,
right,
and stuff like that, because you understand stuff that I have no clue about, and I have stuff that you can do. Case in point with the 3D printing.
Yeah. Yeah, talk about that. Like you got to see my setup. Now, if it wasn't for you and Sammy,
yeah,
I wouldn't be 3D printing.
Yeah, exactly. Now you have, and again, we've heard about Chris's talking about the impact engraver for the X Carve, and this was a project that you had been working on for 3 years.
Yep.
But prior to coming together, and your first brackets were made out of what? Now were they 3D
sheet
printed?
metal.
They were sheet metal.
They were sheet
they were
metal.
completely sheet metal, right?
Welded together.
Okay, so
and wood. I actually took sheet metal, drilled holes, put self-tapper screws through wood into the sheet metal, and clamped it to the X Carve.
Okay, so and then what we were looking for was a more streamlined product that you could get out there that was cost effective, that wouldn't have to be thousands of dollars. We set a price point that we wanted to come into, and we figured, okay, we're going to use these. We settle on the materials, and one of the materials and manufacturing processes that we settled on was using 3D printing, using PLA filament that you can find online, Amazon, if you have a micro center near you. And your first printer was a hand-me-down
printer bot. Small format.
Mm-hmm.
When you say desktop printer, this was like desktop printer.
And so it was probably about 3 or 4 years old when you got it.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a 6.5, maybe less than 8-inch build plate.
Yeah. And it was warped.
Yeah.
It had Joe on my Facebook page, he actually gave it to me to learn how to 3D print. And he's like, it's so easy to 3D print. And he was like, you have to get into learning it.
Yeah.
So he gave me a small printer bot. And as I started doing it, I started having problems.
Okay.
And I didn't know why. It turned out that the printer had taken a tumble.
Okay.
And whenever it took a tumble, the bed warped.
Bed warp, yeah.
And the beds were already known to warp on those because of the heat.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we're talking about, products from China. not the most quality kept. Not to say that they're bad. It's just but the tolerances are out. These are hobby machines,
Right.
That were I worked for an engineering company, and we had the 3D printer that we had was $8,000.
Right.
This is something that that I would say 99.9% of the people would not even approach at that time. Now, over the last couple of years, the price has dropped. You can get desktop machines for less than $200.
Yeah.
So that right there has opened up a whole new market. Now, again, with that being cheaply done, again, quality will suffer a little bit on tolerances and this and stuff. So there is you know what you're getting into.
Right.
So they're not bad machines, but they require a little bit of fine tuning to get where you want to go.
Right.
And there's a little, again, with anything, there's a little bit of a learning curve. But you can do some really, really cool stuff. So what we were doing, again, this was going back to the post COVID mask project that we did. And we started to 3D print our bracket. And we were able to 3D print a bracket that, number one, reduced weight, reduced cost, and worked.
Yeah. And worked well.
And worked very well. Exactly. And we'll post some pictures down in the comments later. Some of the projects that Chris and I have done. I was able to find marble from a sink and countertop company that I get for free. I understand that you probably did the same thing, right?
Yeah, I was actually the one that told him where to get it.
And I was happened to be talking to him, and I looked over and I said, "Oh, you mean like that guy at that place over there?" But I also was able to use the impact engraver to engrave on 301 cold rolled stainless steel 1/8 inch and ceramic tiles.
Right.
And it came out awesome.
So I like to say I took time to find out what pen engraver worked.
Mm-hmm.
I actually use the tool that I build, like on the daily on my stonework.
Mm-hmm.
It for me, that says a lot.
Yeah. And so then we took a project that you'd been working on for 3 years.
Yep.
Added this new technology into it, and within 6 months brought the product to market.
Yeah.
And it's, and shameless plug coming up, you can now get your own impact engraver at Croft CNC on his Etsy store.
Yep.
And we'll post a link down if you can on there so they can go take a look at it. It mounts using the JTech mount. Mounts straight to if you have an X-Carve, or we can actually, if you have a different type of machine, we can actually help design a custom mount for it to mount to your CNC. And what is that price going that we're going to be doing
right now? We're doing a Black Friday sale, and it is typically $6.99. We're going to be blowing it out for $4.99, $200 off.
Nice. And guys, once you see, posting, you got some already pictures up there. Post that the picture of that right there, what you were able to do.
All right,
and that one right there. And guys, this is on granite and marble, and it comes out phenomenal. And it really does open up a whole new market for what you can do for your customers. You can do tabletops. You can do countertops. Guys, we can do memorial plaques for if you had a beloved pet, pass. You can do a memorial stone for a marker. You can do a house sign for your house that says that gives you the address for your house, and it comes out beautiful. So speaking of Black Friday sales, some friends of ours have also got some Black Friday sales. George Formez over at Endurance Lasers has got his Black Friday sale going on for his diode lasers.
Yeah.
So head on over to if you haven't if you're not familiar with George, head on over to do a search for Endurance Lasers. He sells diode lasers that mount to CNCs. Very much like our impact engraver. You can, if there's not a mount available, you work with George, you can work with us, and we'll get a mount specially fitted for your diode. Who else is running a Black Friday sale?
So we got George at Endurance doing his thing.
Yeah.
We got Jay over at JTech Lasers doing their thing.
Yeah.
We've got Open Builds is doing a Black Friday sale on their lead machine, on their leads machine.
Yeah.
Inventables is doing some type of Black Friday
and that's for their new X cars and stuff.
I don't know what it is.
No, I think it's for the older model, for the 1,000 by 1,000 mil. And I think I saw it was like $500 off and free shipping. I think is what they were saying.
Yeah.
I
would
definitely check that out. Don't quote me on that because I have been known to put out misinformation. So.
But yeah, those are some of the things that we were looking at. I mean, you know, we have both diode laser companies in house. You know, we have them on different machines for different purposes and stuff like that. So, you know, check those guys out. Check them out. Get out there. Uncle Carlito is Team Endurance, and I'm Team JTech. And we're gonna come together and be like, okay,
the Wonder Twins, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we're gonna your Lion Bot and my Lion Bot, we're gonna come together and we're gonna form one giant robot.
Yeah, we're like Voltron.
Yeah.
We're Voltron.
Yeah. We just need 3 more lions. So, well, it's got we got the Pied Piper. We need 2 more lions.
Yeah. I don't know where we're gonna get them at.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you want to be one of the lions, you can sign up and we're taking applications for that.
Yeah, you just have to wear a really tight leotard suit.
Toy.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on today, what's on the agenda today? So after this today, what we're going to go to, you are actually in the middle of doing a shop.
Yeah.
You have a shop, and they're doing it's a consignment sale at a Pennsylvania rustic barn.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we're gonna take you out and we're gonna show you some Pennsylvania country.
Okay.
We're gonna show you Pennsylvania at its finest.
I was driving in and I saw a horse and buggy crossing sign.
Yes.
I definitely got to get a picture of that.
Yeah.
Post that up.
We've got deer crossing signs. The
Amish crossing.
Yeah.
For the Amish. Yeah. Because we are in Amish country.
Yeah. So we've got horse and buggy beware signs.
Yeah.
All over
crossing. It's like, you know, watch those, you know, dangerous curves ahead. You've got to watch out for the Amish out here.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things. Amish buggies get hit a lot out here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because you're flying down the road 55 miles an hour because that's the posted speed limit.
And you come around the curve.
Yep.
And
they're on the road.
Buggy.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
So, and then I'm dodging possums coming in.
Yep.
No deer this time. The weather was kind of crappy.
Yeah.
But definitely the possums were out and scurrying.
Moving around.
And this, I have to say, when I was coming in, this is some of it was like very the little towns I was coming in, very Norman Rockwell-ish.
Yeah.
Very, very cool country. This is beautiful country. For those of you who have not been to Pennsylvania or this really is a slice of heaven. It's God's country.
It's really weird because, like, 30 minutes in either direction, we have like metropolitan hubs. We've got State College, we've got Williamsport.
You what you just said? Lock Haven's a geographical oddity.
Yeah.
30 minutes from everywhere.
Yeah, and that's what I tell everybody. We're central Pennsylvania. When I say we're central Pennsylvania, I'm 3 hours from the Ohio border. I'm 3 hours from Philly. I'm 3 hours from Pittsburgh, and like all these locations are all around PA, but we're right smack in the center.
Middle,
you can't get more central than where I'm at. So we're like the same exact time from anything major.
Geographical oddity. 30 minutes from everywhere.
But we have such beautiful country around us.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced home smoked cheese?
No. Now I'm located near in Chicago, near Wisconsin.
Right.
Wisconsin is the self-proclaimed cheese capital of the world.
Yeah, but
And they actually have a castle in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
yep.
That's supposed to be famous for cheese, but I've never had smoke. I never smoked my cheese.
So around here, a big thing is in the fall when the temperatures drop,
Yeah.
you're able to do smoking. Okay. And basically we've got guys around here that their smokehouses are as expensive as local houses.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. And they
Literally
smoke
smokes.
sausages,
Very
hot
Very, it's
dogs.
very very curing. Like canning. They do a lot of canning, a lot of curing of their own stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that that your grandfathers and grandmothers, great grandmothers back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s did before the advent of going to the grocery store this here.
Right.
They still do that.
A lot of people still have victory gardens
Yeah.
and can their own. We have a thing around here called dilly beans.
Dilly beans.
It's basically a pickled green bean, like
Gotcha.
still in the pod.
Pickled green beans.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like literally it's a vinegar based soaked green bean. We have pickled asparagus. Yeah. Like just stalks of asparagus in a pickle brine.
Delicious.
And we have
even though we're not sponsored, we are going to do a shout out for this. This is
what did I tell you whenever you ate it?
That I'm going to be ruined for life.
Yeah.
So we are looking, if these guys are out there, if you want to sponsor Coffee and Cuts.
You got to send some to Chicago.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Right.
All these things are awesome. These are, what is this now? This is Middleworth, the Weekender hand-cooked barbecue chips. Now, just to put it out there, we are not officially sponsored, but because I just fell in love with these, we are going to give them a nice little plug on here.
Right on. So you're taking some back to Chicago with you?
I might have to take a case or two.
You can only get those. This is the beauty of Pennsylvania. You've got all these companies that do shit worldwide. Middlesworth is a large chip manufacturer.
I'm not sharing.
And they only produce here in PA.
Huh.
They are only available from PA. Now, you can order them online.
Yeah.
But that's something common to us.
I think that Kim was even saying that now you're able to order online and have this shipped worldwide. Now, before they were available online, you would have people come and visit.
Yeah.
Fall in love. I think you were setting up a honeypot.
I was. I would. Yeah. I would actually get them hooked on it first,
and then
I was the distributor.
Yeah,
it was like crack but legal.
So, and you got guys in Italy, and friends all over the world that you were sending.
So my wife actually lived in Italy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I got me an Italian baby.
All right, Italiana. So all right. So we're gonna be going to the show. And looking for over there, and then afterwards we're going to come back. We're going to do some work with the JTech.
Mm-hmm.
We have to cut some fabric for gnomes for Kim.
Yep. We're going to cut some ornaments.
Some F2020 flakes.
Yep.
And then we're going to do some little impact engraving and see where else our day takes us.
Yeah. So I got some private messages. We've got to address here.
Let's go through here.
So first one is favorite YouTuber.
Oh, okay.
That's a rough one for me.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite YouTuber?
Ooh, I have a couple of go-tos.
What do you only watch maker stuff?
Primarily, yeah.
Okay.
Primarily because that's what interests me.
Right.
I like it all depends on which discipline that I'm looking for. If it's 3D printing, there's a couple of go-to guys. Maker Muse,
mm-hmm.
Out of I think he's out of he's an Aussie guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's really really good. Learned a lot from him on how to properly set up the filaments, level the beds, this and that. For CNC, Obviously, Croft CNC. I mean,
Okay.
that's my go-to. Paw
Yeah.
Paw's workshop.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Watch a lot of his videos.
Yeah, I think
like him.
especially when I was getting with the easel, because Paw did a really good series on easel,
Okay.
pocketing, profiling, tool changing, this and that, laser and stuff like that. All depends on which laser system that we use. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Pied Piper and I are we work together. We have 2 shops in Chicago, and at his shop we have 3 glow forges,
Yep.
2 Chinese 60-watt CO2 lasers, and a number of diode lasers. So,
and you guys just got a new
and
purchase.
Yes, the Piper, that's squirrely little Italian. I love him so much. We actually have a 50-watt fiber laser coming in a couple of weeks. So we're going to be able to etch straight into where you can mark metal with a laser and a CO2 with the diodes and the CO2. We are actually going to truly be able to engrave metal with this fiber laser, and we're looking forward to getting that.
That's going to be awesome.
And depending on who which laser system we're using, it will vary. But yeah, I think Paw was my first true, and of course Croft CNC, only because it got me pushing in the right direction.
Right.
And now that I'm kind of off and trotting on my own, I bounce. So and I try to pick a little bit here, and a little bit there, and then bring it all together. Hopefully, I will be my new favorite YouTuber.
I like it.
We have set up our own channel. It's the Pied Piper and Carlito. We just haven't had the opportunity to put a lot of content in it, but we are great. Chris has graciously allowed us to kind of cross promote with his platform, and we're probably going to be moving a lot of that stuff to yours.
Okay.
For the laser, right? Remember we were talking about that?
Yep.
With the lasers, so we'll have kind of an all-in-one shop. I think the problem is that if I wanted to go do 3D printing, I had to go find this guy. If I wanted to go do laser, I had to go to this guy. CNC over here. And what we talked about was kind of doing like a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Bringing it together in an organized fashion, so that okay, we'll have a section for CNC, plasma cutting, also for laser and 3D printing, right?
And one thing that my vision for that was, I wanted to really hammer on the give back to people, that you don't have to purchase stuff from us to get information from us. Yeah. However, I did set up an e-course, and I'm hoping to set up an e-university for different CNC machines. And in that, you're going to do a 3D printer course.
Yeah, I'll be one of the instructors on that with some of the laser stuff. I'm going to be jumping in there. And the channel versus the e-course. The channel, of course, the one of the big pros is that it'll be free. Yeah, it's the content that we put out there.
Yep.
The e-course will be a more directed course of instruction.
Yep.
You'll be able to interact with us live, and whenever you need that, we're going to provide that service and that support, and you'll be able to ask specific questions that don't necessarily get addressed in the videos,
right? Or
you would have to look through 20 hours of content to find the answer to this one, where you can just say, "Hey guys, what is this?" And we're like, "Oh, well that's this, and this."
Right.
And that will be the advantage between the channel versus the e-course and stuff like that, right?
And we'll be able to bookmark certain divisions in the e-course, and we can direct you right to that.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure people understand the e-course. You do not have to buy the e-course to get the information.
Oh yeah.
It's just the e-course is going to be relegated to a time-sensitive organized
Yeah.
separation of lessons.
Yeah, and it may be a lot of it may be specific to one type of machine, because again, different machines. Some will have proprietary softwares, some will have more open source softwares,
Right.
and we're going to be able to go into the nuts and bolts on that, or the nitty gritty, as like I like to say, and get down to brass tacks and break it down and answer very specific questions about that.
Correct. Correct.
Mhm.
And then, from there, uh, that's kind of how I see things with the progression of education.
Yeah.
Back to the base question, favorite YouTubers.
Yeah.
You answered
Who's yours?
I don't have one.
Yeah, again, because you're probably like me. You're like a bumblebee. You kind of go from here, boom, 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 boom.
I look at Modustrial because he does great content on cement countertops or cement assemblies. I look at DIY Create.
Yeah.
He does great just overall household projects, and they're DIY. They're not CNC based. But I look at it and I go, oh, I could put that on the CNC and make a production run of something.
Yeah.
I look at Black Forest. I don't know if it's Black Forest Woodworking or epoxy, but he does epoxy tables and stuff.
So like the epoxy river type of live edge slabs and stuff.
Yep. Okay. So I watch a lot of their stuff. I'm trying to think, like there aren't many CNC router guys that I watch. As a matter of fact, I can't really think of any other than like Pawpaw. I watch his stuff.
Yeah, Pawpaw is, like I said, he put out a really good, especially when it came to the easel stuff. Like that. It was easel itself is a very very user friendly interface.
Yeah,
and Pawpaw presented the information in a way that you were able to absorb it easily. And it's broken down not necessarily in really big long episodes. It's broken down in 20-30 minute episodes. So,
yeah. And then I'm kind of unique. I like watching law videos. Like
case
law,
case law, yeah.
Audit the audit. He talks a lot about different case laws pertaining to police civilian interactions.
I like First Amendment audit, stuff like that.
Yeah,
the way how you can kind of interact with some of the way and just interacting in general with the police interactions like that.
Yeah, okay. Just seeing how different places, police and people interact, and different case law that's associated with that. That interests me for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. I like to watch sometimes the First Amendment audits, and those are rabbit holes that'll suck me in.
Yeah.
I've been known to stay up to 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, holy shit, dude! I gotta get up and go to work later.
Yep. I'm trying to think. I like instructional videos and documentaries. Those are my big things. Andrew.
Hey, what are you doing, buddy?
Andrew is a friend that harkens back to teaching days. He was actually one of my students.
Okay.
And then became a friend through the process.
All right.
And
nice to meet you, Andrew. I'm Carlito.
We stayed in contact, and our Thanksgiving was grand. I think
it was awesome.
We got fat, we got happy, and we spent it with friends and family.
That eclair cake, pie, tart, whatever it is, was the bomb.
Yep. I took mine. I put my eclair pie on
your pecan
on my pecan pie.
Yeah.
It was like diabetes on a plate.
Yeah, I don't like mixing my foods. I put mine next to my pie.
Okay.
And then I ate one, then ate the other. But yeah, I could totally see that happening.
We're old.
Oh yeah. We're not necessarily spring pollitos anymore.
Yes.
My good friend Tiffany, she calls me Waylo. That's short for abuelo, because apparently I like fall asleep at like 6-7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And when she can't get a hold of me, she sends out silver alerts. Yeah.
So,
all right. So what's the next question?
Our go-to Facebook group. What's your favorite Facebook group?
Oh man! Again, depending on which discipline. The Xcarve users group, everything for Xcarve. When it comes to CNC, because that's what I have.
Right.
The CNC for noobs is a great group. I have two of my own groups. One's called Ain't Nothing But a G Code, where anything G Code related. And if anybody's interested in joining that, again, it's Ain't Nothing But a G Code. I'll post some links down in the comments. And like I said, because Sammy, the Piper, and I, we have Glowforges, so we're members of the GUG, the Glowforge user group. Glowforge World is another really good one. They have some great moderators. The Pied Piper is also one of the moderators there. And then I started a group called the GUG, but it's the Glowforge Underground Gangsters, where our goal to be the outlaws of laser engraving.
Nice.
Again, sometimes you get in these groups, the rules get a little bit. I understand why they're there, but sometimes I chafe at the rules.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create something that was a little bit so people can express themselves a little bit more without violating some rules and getting getting banned from the group. So I started that Glowforge Underground Gangsters.
Okay.
So and then what is your go-to besides obviously you have your own pages as well?
I have my pages. I try to go to my pages every day and do some type of content. I would say my Facebook group, my go-to group that I usually check first is the Everything Xcarve group.
Oh, one thing here. My go-to for 3D printing is the 3D Printing for Noobs group, run by Matt Farmer. He's a good friend of mine. He's out of the Chicago area. If you're into 3D printing, it's a great group of stuff. It's huge. Matt does a phenomenal job of adminning that one.
Okay.
And it's a great place to start in 3D printing, or even if you've been doing it for a little while, it's a great place to give back as well.
Right on.
Yeah.
My go-tos, I've got a couple of them. My like first thing open up Facebook is Everything Xcarve group. That was a group. I have no idea why. I just kind of latched onto it.
Yeah.
And whenever I would do my lives, that's the first one I would post my lives to. And then from there, I would upload just files that I made and stuff and just kind of give free content there.
Yeah.
And people responded to it. And whenever they responded to it, I just kind of kept going back.
Yeah.
And it just kind of became my group of choice.
And okay. Now our friend Bull down in Texas has his group. It's the Make. The Make, yeah.
Yep.
And you did a live stream with him just about a month ago.
Yeah. And that's one that I go to daily. So I kind of have a round robin of daily ones.
Yeah.
The Everything Xcarve group is kind of my home base group. But right after I do the Everything Xcarve, I go to CNC for Newbies user group. I go to the Make. I go to
and CNC for Newbies that's the group that Luke Wilson he's affiliated with, or he runs.
No.
He has Luke Wilson has his own TBD CNC. That where I recently picked up some great accessory attachments.
Okay.
For the impact engraver, my JTech Air Assist I picked up, and there's some awesome quick accessory on off that attached to the spindle.
Right.
And he runs a really good little group, makes some great products as well.
Right on.
So I visit his group quite a bit. Yeah.
What else? The Millwright CNC group.
Okay, and that's see, I'm
A
not
user.
I'm not- yeah.
It's a user group for Millwright CNC, and I
Mm.
go there. And part of the thing that people don't understand, you just had a great example.
Yeah.
So Luke sponsored the upgrades for my X-Carve.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
He,
Yeah.
and he does X-Carve upgrades.
Mm.
I also have CNC for newbies who they kind of overlap. Luke's company and CNC for newbies company overlap in the Z-axis upgrades.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
Mhm.
But CNC for newbies is sponsoring a new machine that
That's right. You got a new goodie coming. You got a
Right.
new baby coming. Yeah.
but it's something completely different in the fact that it's a rack and pinion full size assembled machine. Like it's a unit machine. It's not an upgrade to an existing machine.
It's its own separate unit.
It's
right?
its own separate unit.
Yeah.
So a lot of people get confused and they think I'm pro team 1 and anti team 2. And I'm not, because I'm pro get the consumers the best bang for their buck.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm the same way. What is the best bang for your buck?
Right.
If I had the ability to, to spend 20, 30,000, I would go out and I would buy a $20,000, $30,000 machine, boom, 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 ready to go. That could just burn through anything you want.
Right.
But again, I have to, I stick to what I can afford and I start and then start small and build up from there.
Right.
So,
and
yeah.
And I think people get confused when I start talking about sponsorships that I'm only plugging.
Exclusively. Yeah.
I'm only that person's yes man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. Like what we have my X-Carve is no longer an X-Carve.
You call it the super carve, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I have two different rotary axes for it.
Uh-huh.
I rebuilt the whole framing system to actually cut 48 by 48.
And I think the upgrades that I bought off of you for my X-Carve are actually I have front brackets from Triquerta, and back brackets from Luke's
TBD CNC.
So yeah. So I kind of a little Frankenstein going.
Yeah, and then the cross braces that you got, the stabilizers you got are mine.
Yeah.
And then what's funny is Triquerta and TBD CNC and Designs by Phil and a plethora of other ones make stabilizers like that.
Yeah.
Like stringers,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not doing anything spectacular there, right?
Yeah, it's again, you're finding the best bang for your buck.
Right.
And again, it's okay to go out and get to find out which products are going to be the ones to suit your need.
Right.
And again, because what is the biggest question that you always get on all groups? What's the best machine?
Yep.
I've never done this in my life. What's the best machine?
Yep.
Well,
it depends.
Carlito's answer is machine that works.
Yep.
You.
That's my answer.
And what can you afford?
What can you afford?
Mm-hmm.
What are you comfortable with? What space do you have?
Yeah.
What's your budget?
Yeah, exactly. And there is something out there for every single budget.
Yeah.
Now, granted, if you go a little bit on the lower end, you may have to do some upgrades to get it to where it's running like a higher end machine.
We were talking with Pied Piper last night. The guy's doing the K40 lasers.
Yes.
The 8x12 K40 laser from China.
Yeah. So for those of you that are not familiar with, it is a 40-watt CO2 laser that has an 8x12 bed stock. And it's about, I don't know, I want to say about the size of like maybe 2.5 work boot shoe boxes.
Right.
That's the width. And maybe like this. It's not a very big. It's a true desktop machine, entry level, $400 out the door from China. You can get started like that.
Mhm.
But again, it's the tolerances are not like you would see on a higher end machine.
Right.
And in order to get that thing running and humming smoothly, you've got to do a little bit of work to it. But with a couple of extra $100 worth of upgrades and maybe some time, you can get that thing humming smooth.
But that's the thing
Yeah.
is you can do those upgrades in stages.
Yeah, exactly.
As it makes it like
Well-
your X carve, you started out with a stock X carve
Mm,
and you did your upgrades
Yeah.
in stages.
I saw. I going back to the K40. I know a guy who bought a K40 thing. All he did, and again, it was an 8x12 bed.
Mhm.
Boom, boom. He cut ornaments out of wood, used that to upgrade and pay for the rest of the upgrades,
Mhm.
and now went and bought a 100-watt Chinese laser that has a 24x36 bed.
Yeah.
So it again, there is a machine for every budget.
I completely
Yeah.
agree. And it's what works.
Mhm.
What works for you? What do you feel comfortable with? How do you interact with it?
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, what is it that you're going to use? I think one of the biggest mistakes that people do is either they buy too little or too much machine.
Yeah.
What you really should have a goal of what you're going to use this machine for. If it's just playing around, hey, that's great, that's awesome. When the first 6-8 months, I didn't sell a single thing, and I just made and gave away stuff on my X card.
Yep.
Now some of the hiring machines that we got, okay, we buy those with a specific goal in mind.
Right.
So yeah. Always have a plan on what you want to use it for, so you don't get too little or too much machine.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at that.
What is that? Black and red, 80-watt. Yep. Again, yeah, exactly. There's still going to be, but for the bang for your buck, Copperhead, you can't blame it, because for the same price of that 80-watt is still less by 40 to 50% of what a Glowforge basic would be. You can get a 60 to 80-watt Chinese laser off of Amazon, eBay, AliExpress for about $1,500 to $2,200. You're paying $3,000 with shipping for Glowforge. I think the Muse laser is right at about 32. But the thing with the Glowforge is that you're tied to the internet. You don't have a rotary accessory available to it, and you have a limited Z access, and I think you're limited to 12 by 24 cut area.
Right.
With the Muse, you're paying 34 to 4,000 for the same size of the Glowforge, but you do get a riser attachment and a rotary attachment. Again, it all depends on what you want to do. Copperhead said, "Yeah, I'm very happy." Just took exactly, and there's a little bit of learning curve. Now, Chris, explain to us the difference of when you buy a Chinese laser versus when you buy from an American company. Why the big jump in price, and what do you get for that price versus what you would get from a Chinese laser?
So,
or in this case, like that, yeah.
So, the import lasers typically are mass produced and pump out as many as you can, not QC'd or not QC'd to the level that we're typically happy with. Belts might need tensioned, racks might be off, gears might not mesh well, tubes might come in dead.
I'm dealing with that with that new laser box. Yeah.
Right. But
yeah.
We also have to think these things spend, a month in transit across the ocean in a container box.
2 months. Then I work in we have a lot of stuff shipped over. We call it a slow boat from China.
Right.
That's 8 to 12 weeks on a boat in a container.
When I was making body kits,
mm-hmm.
and I would make the base body kits and sell them to companies would send them to China to be popped off. they would pop out thousands of these body kits
Yeah.
and then ship them back in a container to the US for these companies to resell. And one of the things that would happen is in the container, they would get so hot in the summer that they would deform.
Yeah.
Right.
So you got to deal with that.
Right.
If
So
you're
you
dealing
have,
with and if you're dealing with metal parts, you have to deal with the fact that it's in a container and a saltwater environment.
Mhm.
So you have the possibility for contamination to get in from the salt. So
you know, it's one of those things that when you
Yeah.
get American made, because we're located in America, in the US,
was a higher expectation for those companies here in the States.
right. You usually get a higher cost of production because
They're paying
of
American
all
work. They're paying
all of
American
our
workers better. You know, they
right.
typically pay them better salaries, insurance, and the benefits, stuff like that.
Right. So
Okay.
we have a higher overhead cost,
Mm-hmm.
but with that, we also expect a better documentation of quality control.
That's true.
You know,
Yep. And
Um,
typically one of the major things that you don't get from China is customer service.
Yeah.
So if you buy a Chinese laser, like Copperhead Mike said, that there is a bit of more learning curve because the documentation that you're getting with this
right.
was trans. Now imagine in China they speak a number of different languages. So the original might have been in Mandarin to be translated in Cantonese to be translated to a Taiwanese dialect.
Right.
And you're reading this thing and it's like, what the hell is what the guy's saying?
Yep.
On top of that, just trying to ask very specific questions that we're used to be able to pick up the phone.
Time frame differences.
That's one thing that I'm dealing with LaserBox. The guys that are at Hong Kong, I'm trying to troubleshoot everything via Skype, and I'm in Chicago. They're in Hong Kong, and it's in the middle of the night when I got to wake up at 3:30 in the morning to go to work.
Right.
But I'm used to being able to pick up the phone and call a company and say, "Hey, I got this," and talk with somebody. Right. So you're paying for that customer service.
Right.
Right.
And that goes a long way
Mm-hmm.
when you're dealing with something brand new that you don't know anything about. You don't know about these machines, you know. And that's why the user groups are so nice, because you have guys in there that have done that have experienced that, and typically they've already answered the question if you search for it, or you can ask the question and they'll answer it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know.
And but the one of the other important things is when you're looking to buy a machine is to look at what you're going to use it for. Make sure that you don't get too little, too much, but then also replacement parts.
Yep. What's the life of the machine
Yeah,
expectancy?
exactly.
You know, we're doing a project in the background. We've talked about, I'm retrofitting an Epilogue profile laser,
Mm-hmm.
and we're having a hard time with it.
Yeah. Why is that? How old is this? Number one, how old is this machine?
So this machine is a 1998 CO2 25 watt laser.
Wait a minute. So this is not even. This is like before two. This is for Y2K.
Yeah. This is
Holy guns
Windows.
smokes.
This is Windows XP computers. Corel Draw 5.
Holy gun smokes. Oh, jeez.
But
okay.
the thing is,
Yeah.
the laser still works.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Because Epilogue is one of those companies that puts out a machine that was designed to be a workhorse.
Right.
So what are the issues that we're running into? Number one, we're dealing with not just a machine,
LPT port.
port.
That's
we're
primary.
dealing with like analog technology. So now we're dealing with these days here we're used to dealing with digital technology.
Yeah.
USB,
microprocessors, all that. Yep.
Even with our CNC machines here, we're using stepper motors, right?
Yep.
What is the Epilogue?
Epilogue uses servos with encoder feedback, which is great. That's a great system.
But it's an analog based system, right? It's a partial analog, kind of quasi digital.
Yeah,
but it's not necessarily full digital.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right. So on top of that, they have proprietary motors with different voltages.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they did that to seclude people from upgrading, because a lot of the Chinese lasers use steppers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the high end companies like Epilogue use servos,
Yeah.
and the control boards don't mix. They don't jive.
They don't jive. Exactly.
You know, when I look at that, I'm like, oh man, you know. So now we started looking at upgrading from the old big 25 dB parallel port.
Mm-hmm. That was the very first hurdle was, how do we communicate with this machine? So
Yeah.
our option
And
was to find a XP machine that uses that parallel port cabling system.
Right. Luckily, Mach 3
Okay.
still runs on that, so I'm familiar with the LPT port.
Mm-hmm.
I built a machine. I found an old copy of Windows XP. I got that, and I have the Epilogue running on that.
Okay. But there's more.
But we run into the issue of, now we want to upgrade to a Windows 7 to 10 machine because they're readily available, they're inexpensive,
and we want to kind of future-proof ourselves. We
Right.
don't want to put a ton of money into this retrofit,
right?
and then have to redo some other stuff. So
Right.
we want to future-proof ourselves.
Right. So
Yeah.
what we're doing now is trying to get it to USB control,
Mm-hmm.
and we're running into an issue of, well, this is this problem and this is this problem
Yeah.
because of voltage differences across
Exactly,
the controllers.
because the microservers, even though the micro servos are not proprietary, the program for the voltage to communicate with is
Right.
right. So we've got to figure out how to number one, we've got to do like almost, is it a breakout board
Right.
for the servos?
So we're going to have a USB breakout board.
Mm-hmm.
Right now I'm looking at the Rowita boards, the DSP
Very good
controllers.
one. Yep. And those are the new boards that even the Chinese 60, 50, the 50, 60, 80, 100, 150s are now coming with.
Right.
So guys, if you are looking at to get a Chinese laser, be sure that you're getting the upgraded with the Rowita board. That communicates. And now the reason why I wanted it, because it communicates natively with Lightburn.
Yes.
Okay. Lightburn is a great program.
And that's actually the program we're going to want to
Mhm.
use with the Epilogue.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
So far what we found is nobody is retrofitting the Epilogue,
Mm-hmm.
the old Epilogues, right?
Yeah.
And mainly because they were a $15,000 laser out of the box.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. Yeah.
And even today, they're
I think the cheapest was like 12 to 15,000.
Yeah.
For some of that, and they're right up there with like Boss, Thunder, and stuff like that.
Right.
Which puts that they put out great machines.
Right.
If I could afford one, I would. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here, Piper says, yeah. Rowita is native to RD Works and works great with it as well. Well, exactly. I haven't necessarily used Rowita RD Works, but I am more familiar with Lightburn, and so that's what. Yeah.
I don't really care for RD Works myself.
Yeah.
But that's because I know Lightburn.
Yeah, you do Lightburn.
You know,
and if you had to like break it down between VCarve and Aspire versus Lightburn versus RD Works.
Yeah.
Okay, is it safe to say it would be VCarve, Aspire, then Laser, and then something like that? Only because that's what you use.
Right.
And again, we're not saying that one is necessarily better than the other. We mention these products and this software because this is what we use and kind of what the direction that we're going to go with it.
Right.
But if you guys have a better idea or any ideas like that, send them over to us. We're open. We're open to anything. Again, why do we want to do this? Number one, because we can.
Yeah.
Number two, for shits and giggles.
We have the machine here.
Yeah.
We have the ability to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest problem is literally sponsorship of parts, because we spend thousands of dollars a month, a year on different upgrades for different machines, because you didn't realize how many machines I actually have here.
Exactly. I looked over here and I'm like, you and the Piper, man.
Yeah, we have right now we have 4 3D printers. We have 4 diode lasers, 2 mills, 2 lathes, CO2 laser,
And a partridge and a pear tree.
two robotic arms.
2 robotic arms, yeah.
What else? What else? Three different router setups.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so and one of the routers is funny because it's sitting in a trailer and the table for it is
in the new shop building.
In the new shop building, but it's not laying down.
Yeah, it's like standing up in the air. The table's like standing up in the air like this. And I'm like, we were doing a walkthrough, and I'm like, what's that? That's part A. Part B's over there. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
so,
it's a vertical.
Yeah, there you go.
But we also have 4 different 3D scanners.
Yeah.
You know, just stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff.
Yeah.
To do everything. You know, and then that's just CNC machines. That's not our hand tools and
all the little goodies that go with it that allow us to be able to use this. And when we can't do something on the machine, we got to go back to our other tools.
Right.
Yeah, chop saws, band saws, drill presses, screwdrivers, wrenches, and assorted drill bits. And mills. So yeah,
you know.
Yep. It's like I said. Here we go here. And of course, pile of tools. That's pretty much what it comes down to, man.
Yeah. But whenever you're doing this many things and you're doing it out of pocket, that's where it comes into, hey, I want to do this project. You know, what do we do? How do we progress?
Yeah, exactly. Because again, like any project, you go down that rabbit hole,
right?
And you think you're going to spend X amount of money, and now you've spent 3 times.
What do people want to see? And the sad part is, people want to see, what's going to happen? What are we going to get out of the content? You know?
Yeah. So for this particular project, now we're going to be collaborating with a gentleman out of the UK.
Well, we already started working. Yeah. Rob Johnson turned me on to the Tangerine Tiger program on YouTube, which is a maker that we're working with.
And there's a gentleman out of the UK.
Yep, his name is Russ,
who has done a similar conversion on a somewhat
on a Chinese laser.
A Chinese, so comparable then.
Not even comparable. But he's very knowledgeable. He's a scientist, I think, and knows stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay,
I'll put it like that.
So yeah, again, it's like I said, it's like we can't do this all ourselves. We're gonna reach out to whoever can kind of help us out. And
because I didn't even know what kind of tube the Epilogue had.
Yeah.
You know, literally, you get the tubes from them, you put them in, align the mirrors, and you go.
And you go. Exactly. You have to take it for granted what it is, but let's see here. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a secret project.
Dude, got some secret stuff. Secret stuff.
All right. But no, we didn't even know what kind of tube it had. If it had an RF tube or a heated RF tube or anything like that.
Was it cold? Is it water cold? Is it air cold? Is it this and that and that? And finally, what did I tell you? Go just tear that thing open and find out what it is. We didn't even know what kind of motors we had on it.
No,
we were assuming that they were going to be steppers.
Yeah,
and turned out they're servos.
They're servos with encoders, and that changes
the
whole
the
control.
Entire exactly. So now we've got to add that breakout board, and now we've got to calculate. And first we have to discover, and then calculate the voltage for that because that was all proprietary tech from Epilogue.
Yeah. So. you know, there's a lot going on there with when you choose to do these projects.
Mhm.
I mean, when we chose to do the X-Carve project, that started out, we bought our X-Carve 1000s for $2,000.
Yeah, that's kind of where it was. That's the price point where I got mine into. Yeah,
I'm probably, with all this stuff, I'm probably well over $7,000 into my X-Carve now.
Yeah, and I'm about 3 into mine after all the things said and done with the laser and the Z and stuff like that. Yeah. Luckily, I was able to buy my good thing, guys. Luckily, I was able to buy the upgrades for my X-Carve from Chris. Because he upgraded once, upgraded twice, and now he had the extra parts. And he said, "Hey, I've got these parts here." When I mentioned that I wanted to upgrade, he's like, well, what do you want for them?
Yeah,
that is a great resource. When again, because you can upgrade to once, twice, and then guys that have these parts, you know, you can get them for a really good a good deal. So yeah, let's see what we got here.
So Copperhead Mike built his own plasma table.
Oh, that is, I've watched videos like that. It seems a bit intimidating.
It is,
especially after seeing your monster and knowing that we're dealing with high voltage. But yeah, that looks fascinating.
Yeah, you're definitely upgrading to a plasma at some point.
Definitely. If Piper and our buddy Tommy out of Chicago had their way, I'd be loading up yours. And sneaking it out. Oh, you could do that. For the low price of, I think they wanted me to like sneak it out the back door while you weren't like, wait, look, there's a rabbit over there.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think it must have. But yeah, plasma and powder coating oven soon to come to our Chicago operations.
Yeah, we'll help you get that all squared away, and go from there. But you know, that once again, we're going down that rabbit hole. Of there's so many projects and there's so many things that people want to see and learn and do, and we have such a network that we're able to do it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I mean,
and one of the things that we had talked about in the past was collaborating with other makers. Okay?
Yes.
And throughout the year, come up with a project. We'll do one project. We'll try to, and even if we can't get an official commercial sponsor, but maybe even sponsor between some individual makers, and do a project, and do that project. And if we don't decide, and if my thought was, even if we were to we collaborated across several different makers all over the place, maybe what we could do was do a project, and then either donate that or raffle it off to somebody else.
Right.
And then you go up and have another project that we make, and then have projects set up throughout the year that we can kind of showcase our different skills with different makers. And again, it's all part about building that community.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really all it's about.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think, man? You think this has been a good show?
I think so too. Yeah, we were at the 1 hour 38 mark, and Copperhead Mike is he's a trooper. He stayed with us the whole time. And thank you to our 4 guys that stayed with us.
Yeah. We got likes now. Now this doesn't necessarily represent.
Oh, that's just this here. It might on the different places where you're doing it.
There might be more views. These are just the people that are viewing right now. Our last one had like over 1,000 accumulated views.
Okay, yeah.
And just people not commenting, but watching.
But they were watching, yeah.
Or they went back and watched the replay because they were working or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, so don't take that number on the screen as
look. As far as I'm concerned, if it was just us in here, it'd be fun doing it.
Yeah.
If it was one guy in there rooting on for it, like I said, Copperhead Mike, thank you guys for the man. Just interacting with Mike makes it worth it.
Right.
And it gets me stoked.
And you've never met Mike.
No.
You don't know Mike.
No.
And you don't know his work, but now you'll be able to network with him.
Yeah.
You know, And Tiff, you actually introduced me to Tiff.
Yeah, Tiff is one of my oldest friends. I love her to death. We've met as sophomores in high school, and it's been a good friend for all my life. I've known her family. She knows my family. Just she's good people.
Right on.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Do you think we got to do anything else? You think?
Well, we plugged our chips.
Right.
Shameless plug on that. Talk about that, guys. If you guys out there have any questions or any topics that you would like us to cover, put them down in the comments. Shoot us some private messages. If you think that we've done a good job, give us a shout out. If there's something that maybe we're not doing as well, maybe we got to cut down on the cheesy jokes. Maybe we got to add more cheesy jokes. Let us know. Give us some feedback. We're always trying to do better than the last one.
Here's one of the great things that I'm hoping. I think I found my proper time slot.
Yeah.
Now we need to find a way
to get me in back earlier because I'm like at 9 o'clock. I'm in the middle of working. We may have to do a special evening.
Do 2 shows a day.
Happy hour.
Oh, happy hour.
Happy hour and cuts. Yeah, I don't know. But happy hour with the alcohol.
Cuts and cocaine?
Yeah. I don't know, man. A bowl, some cannabis and cuts. I don't know.
We're going down a rabbit hole. It's just bad.
Cannabis. You know what they do legalize in Illinois. All right, so Copperhead Mike's got a question on powder coating. What style of oven? Now I asked the same question too.
That's fantastic. Copperhead Mike goes at beer 30.
Beer 30, yeah. That could be beer 30. Yeah. That could be just something that we just
bongs and beer.
Bongs and beer. A pipe and a pancake.
Yeah.
Cigarette. Okay. We're going back to the question on that. I asked you the same question when I saw your setup. Now I saw your first oven setup.
Yep.
And you were going to donate this to one of the kids that were working with you.
Yep.
And because when I first walked into your shop, I looked over there and I said,
well, you actually didn't see the first one.
No, I didn't. But when I walked into it, because I want to take this in transition.
Yeah.
So when I walked into the shop, I was like, Chris must have got a new stove for the kitchen.
Right.
It turns out that it was just an old kitchen oven.
Right.
That you were using to bake powder coating.
So the way that I started off my powder coat was real simple.
Yeah.
And Copperhead, you could do the same thing with your smaller pieces, like 15-inch and smaller, 16-inch and smaller, or the odd rectangular ones. You can do this. I started off with a what is it? A toaster oven, the small little desktop oven.
Yeah. In fact, that was the first time I saw somebody doing some. Because what kind of got me into my back in my making when I first came back to Chicago, I was building lightsabers, and there was a gentleman, Hampton Custom Sabers, and he would powder coat his little lightsaber parts, and would use a toaster oven.
Yep.
So as long as we can maintain the proper temperatures for the materials that you're baking, you're golden.
Right.
So yeah, you don't need this huge thing, the walk-in thing. But yeah.
So I started off with one of those, and then I got a regular like 1970s Brady Bunch, like drab olive green color baking stove, like a regular in-wall baking stove. Okay. So then I upgraded and I was using it.
Yeah.
And then I moved into a pregnant oven where you actually make a box, a box with the Havoc foam boards that goes on the front to retain the heat. And I expanded that way. And then when we moved, I got rid of all that stuff, and then I got another household oven.
Yeah, which is the one. Is that the one that I saw?
That's the one
Yeah.
you saw.
So it's just it's just a regular household oven,
Yep.
which I thought was an upgrade from the kitchen. Turns out he's powder coating it.
Right.
But you don't want to put cookies or anything.
No.
after
Once
you do that.
once you cook with powder coat, keep it powder coat.
So do not.
Don't use your wife's
don't
oven.
use your wife's oven.
It's not going to turn out well.
Yeah. So now, what you have in the shop now is a custom built.
Yeah, I have a full custom built 4 foot by 4 foot by 6 foot.
Yeah, and you were able to put that entire rack of parts in there.
Right.
Just push it right in. It was a 2-layer rack. It was like a 4x. It was like maybe less than 4x4 because that's what it fit in. And
yeah,
it's got 2 different areas that you can hang your stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, you were able to push that entire rack in.
Yep. John says the screen froze. I think that's on you, John. We're still rocking and rolling.
Yeah, we're not seeing any freezing here, but so yeah. But yeah, I think anything that if your 4x4x8 is too big, the kitchen's a regular kitchen stove, right? And I think you can do retrofits. What kind of gas? I don't know. Again, what is it? Propane, natural gas?
No, I use electric.
Okay. Electric.
Now,
so electric gas. Okay.
No, electric, no gas.
I mean electric gas. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a semi-automatic. Automatic.
Yeah.
A semi-automatic. Automatic.
One of the things. Oh, we did freeze.
Oh, all right.
We must be coming up on that time.
We must be coming up on the time. Yeah.
That's what
2 hour
is.
time. We've used our bandwidth. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's restarted now, but
okay.
But anyways, my big industrial oven, there was a gas setup on that. That was 12 foot by 12 foot by 28 foot.
Okay.
And that thing was massive.
Is it better to use an electric versus propane kind of stuff because of the cost?
Heat it up.
Natural gas versus propane.
Heat it up.
As long as you can maintain those temperatures.
Yep.
Okay. Well, there you have it.
Heat it up as long as you can get that box hot enough.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. So if you've got a local resale for stoves, like I grew up outside of Houston, and there was a guy that fixed and repaired refrigerator stoves like that.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get a used stove, right?
What I did was I went out on Facebook.
Marketplace.
Hey friends, anybody upgraded their stove lately?
Yeah.
I'll take your old one if it still works.
And free $99.
Yep, $3 and free cents.
I like that. Free is good.
Come pick it up, and we
Nice.
did, and I had it hooked up that night, and I was powder coating.
There we go, guys.
And then now my powder coat guns took a step also, which was really cool because a lot of people don't realize I was a powder coater in my teenage years for a company.
Yeah, in your misspent youth.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard stories about that. Yeah, okay.
And so I had experience with professional guns at that time. I was using Nordson and Gemma guns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now again, you can get a lower end gun from places like Harbor Freight.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. So my first gun was an Eastwood single voltage. I think it was a 20,000 kV gun. Okay. I did some modification to it and all that stuff, and it turned out it was what it was.
Yeah.
It did what it was supposed to do. It had a really hard time doing second coats and candy colors and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Brad says he's using Clint Eastwood too, or Eastwood. I'm sorry.
Eastwood.
Not Clint.
But so what I ended up doing was actually downgrading to a Harbor Freight gun.
Okay. All right.
But then I turned around and put about $100 into that gun.
Yeah.
And I made my own piggyback system with separate hopper.
Okay.
So I could use bigger tubs.
Yeah.
And I could buy powder coat.
So again, you're taking a machine that or a product, doing a little bit of modification and making it better.
Right. And it was just a matter of rerouting airlines
Mhm. Yeah.
and having understanding how a powder coat gun worked.
Yeah.
All it is a high voltage cascade
Yeah.
and
And you're
regulators.
creating a static charge in and around the part.
Right.
You're statically charging or a positive on the and
You're-
then it's powder. It's
You're negatively
it's
charging.
a very fine powder.
Everything is positive charge
Yeah.
going in. It goes through the high cascade,
Yep.
comes out as a negative charge, searching for ground.
And so it's like you're literally, guys, it's like you're spraying a cloud of powder, and then the static charge is bringing it to the part
That's grounded.
and it's grounding out, and it coats it up, and it looks kind of fuzzy when you first do it, and then when you bake it, you get these beautiful colors.
It melts down and creates
it bonds together, and
Yep.
it bonds for that. And powder coating has now become the go-to painting method for a lot of industries.
Yeah.
We used it in for parts in when I worked for the company that built slot machines.
Yeah.
All of our parts that were open to the customer were powder coated.
Yep.
Textured, candy coated, high gloss, matte finishes, you name it, they were powder coated.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so back to the gun,
Mhm.
that Harbor Freight gun taught me a lot because I opened up I opened up the control box and I found that they didn't have any regulators like the high-end guns.
Okay. All right.
So all I did was I went to Lowe's and bought regulators.
Yep.
I bought 4 regulators. I put them on a board. I labeled them.
Mm-hmm.
And I separated out all my airlines.
And you were able to control the flow, this and that. Boom, boom, boom.
And I cap off the gun itself.
Yeah.
And I run everything through the hoppers just like the industrial guns do.
There you go.
And then I ran silicone tubing to the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a forced air system. And went from there.
Mm-hmm.
I then took a piggyback off of their control board and made a high voltage cascade myself,
Mm-hmm.
which I almost killed myself because you don't realize how much you're building up a static charge
Ooh.
when you're soldering these capacitors together.
Ooh, yeah.
And it was capacitor tied to capacitor tied to capacitor. So
and you're
it
building.
was
building,
exponentially
building up. Yeah.
It wasn't just building, it was exponentially building.
Yeah.
And I got to like capacitor number 7. And I don't know what happened.
And you discharged
I discharged into my arm. It felt like somebody drove a railroad spike through my chest.
Yikes.
Yikes.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, be careful. Copperhead Mike says that he was doing some tumblers, and for the first few products.
Yep.
And that he also had some places that didn't take adhesion well, and it couldn't be cleaned. I would say, yeah, that would say that if you'd have problems with any kind of adhesion issues, orange peeling, stuff like that. Number one, start with make sure your parts are clean, right?
Clean parts, any type of dust or oil contaminant.
Mm-hmm.
Tumblers, everybody thinks tumblers are so easy, but they're actually not. And the reason they're not is they're double walled.
There you go.
Okay.
And so what again? So if this, for instance, this is again a piece of metal.
Right.
Put it on there. The main thing is for this to be here, we have to maintain temperature.
Right.
Our range was, I think we were talking 360 to 400 or 360 to 440 or something like that. A range plus or minus.
So we like to be like 365 to 410.
410, and that's our range.
Okay. The lower the temperature, the longer the cook time.
Yeah.
And then the perfect spot is 400. The part temperature, the actual temperature of the metal has to be 400.
Okay.
Okay. The time frame on that is 10 minutes for that particular powder coat.
Okay.
Each powder coat has its own setup. Okay.
Depending if it's textured, if
Right.
it has flake in it, if it's a matte finish, glossy finish, or
Right.
flat. Okay.
You know, whatever the case may be. So there is a range there, but you don't want to overheat it or heat it for too long, causing it to overheat.
Yeah.
Because it breaks it down.
Gotcha. Okay. So
Okay.
now with that double wall tumbler.
What we talked about yesterday, I
Yeah.
showed you on the hanging hooks.
Yes.
Okay. Where you sprayed around the hook was still bare. So we'd have to shift it and spray around the hook.
And you run the risk of not, if you don't do it evenly, you get you either miss a spot or you get a thinner coat right there. So
Right.
the coating layer is also very important too.
Right.
Get nice even coats.
Right. So you get what I'm drawing a blank now. I need to have my book in front of me.
This is
You
kinda
get
funny.
a back ionization.
Yeah.
That's the name for it.
A back ionization.
You get back ionization anytime you have two pieces of metal together and there's an opening. It wants to electrically charge the outside of both of them, but keep that center section uncharged.
And
that's called hold on.
Okay, all right.
That's called a Faraday cage. Just like we protect electronics from an EMP. That's
It's
what you're
creating
doing.
A Faraday cage effect.
Right. So these tumblers actually create their own Faraday cage because the inside is hollow, but you have two pieces of metal on the outside.
And we're also talking about air in there. It's heating up. And what happens when you heat up air?
It expands.
I think Copperhead Mike
Yep.
found out that not necessarily the Faraday effect, but
The
maybe the
explosion.
expansion of that, and it blew up. And it says he scared the crap out of me. And
Yep.
he says, yeah, that could have been, that's probably what it's.
One of my scariest moments with a tumbler was I had some that they back ionized.
Okay.
And they had fish eyes in them because of that back ionization.
Yep.
Not necessarily oil fish eyes, but the powder created a ring, creating a fish eye. So what happened there was I put it in a stripping agent to strip the powder coat, and I wiped it all down. I sat there and preheated what I thought was preheating. I then powdered, and whenever I powdered, I put it in, and it actually exploded.
Because you trapped some of the off gases from the stripping agent underneath the powder coating.
Yep. And I had 4 of them in the big oven.
Boom.
And
how loud was that explosion?
it sounds like a shotgun going off.
And literally, so when
and the cup flies. So like I open up
I don't
oven.
mean to laugh, but it's just like I can just picture it happening.
It explodes. The cup flies up. It hits the top of the oven. That's what that big dent in the top of the oven is.
Yeah.
That's 4 cups taking off. And I open up, and the cups are just laying on the grate.
You're like, what the hell?
And I was like, what the hell just happened? And I had to do research. And I watched Man Cave Makers or something like that. And he talked about it.
A similar situation. Like you said, it's that the gas got, again, we put that stripping agent in there. The metal is porous.
Yep.
It's soaked in there. And again, it's the off gassing that happens for a specific amount of time. When you powder coat it and it's sealed, it trapped that gas underneath there.
And I had no idea.
Yeah. And and when we talk about off gassing, guys, for those of you that are not what it is, think about like when if you the reason why I'm kind of familiar with off gassing is in doing lasers.
Yep.
You laser some the wood, you cut it out. That burned wood smell that you get for a couple or 2 or 3 hours, sometimes a day, that's the char off gassing into the air.
Yep.
So in this right here, the stripping agent does the same thing too. There's some off gassing that happens.
And boiling.
And then you contact with heat and boiling. So what you probably should have done was strip it and then let it air for No, or
Thought that was an issue also.
Okay.
I will never strip a tumbler again unless I sandblast strip it. At which point
you just won't you won't chemically strip it at all. You'll just
Nope.
sandblast it.
Yep. And it
Okay.
doesn't pay to sandblast it unless you like wire wheel it and
Yeah. So
all that. So it's actually cheaper for me just to buy another tumbler and do it.
Yeah.
Write that one off as a fail.
shop
Keep
cup.
it.
Your shop cup.
Yep. Keep it as a shop cup.
Yeah,
You got it.
yeah, 'cause that's kind of where I'm at too. I was looking at my next question. Why not just make that a shop cup?
Yep.
Instead of trying to strip it. But
Well, these were all like nobody else has thought of this. I'm going to do this and I'm going to make a splash. And
you
every single
you made an explosion. Yeah.
yeah, every single person I know has done it and they laugh and they're like, I did that. I thought the same thing. I was going to save, $4 here and, I should have just paid it,
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, guys, we are at the 2-hour mark. We've got to get down. We got to get to the show. We got to get moving.
We got to do shipping today. We got to go to a show.
No, we got to cut some fabric on the. Got to cut some gnomes. Kim's gonna kit both.
Your
of
time's
us.
almost up here.
No, I still
Do
got.
you-
I still
do
got a
you
full
really-
day. I still have a full day tomorrow. It's Friday.
That's not much. That's what I'm saying.
Dude,
that's not much.
That's enough to conquer the world.
You think?
Oh yeah.
I think we need to cut this off and get our asses out there.
We gotta go on. All right, guys. So we are going to cut it out.
Oh, Jesus. Later.